What's up, people of the world? It's Alexander here, making a video as I always am doing. The thoughts are flowing tonight. I feel good, I feel bad, I feel up, I feel down, I feel all over the place, man. And I've been watching some of my own vlog videos back and just allowing some of my own words to re-enter me and trying to refine some of the ideas that I've been talking about to look for future content for future videos. What should I talk about next? And try to build off the old topics and come up with new ones that rest on those. So I talked about Jesus, I've talked about spirituality, I've talked about emigrating to Israel and some personal details of my life, relationships with my family. I really got to stick to the subject of Jesus and let it unfold. I see there's a lot of frustration pent up within me and a lot of blockage and stagnance because I haven't thought about him in so many years, and I haven't thought about his teaching in so many years, and I haven't put to practice anything that he's said and given to the world about unconditional love in so many years. I haven't been loving myself, and I haven't made it a practice to be a spiritual participant here on earth. So I was talking the other night with a housemate here, and he was talking about his experience being a Christian, and I told him that I think I'm a prophet and that I think I was Jesus, and he said, who am I to tell you that you weren't? But, kind of take it with a grain of salt kind of thing. And we continued talking, and he said, if you are, that's great. And he said, but the basis of what I'm really coming from, other than I don't disbelieve you, is he taught about unconditional love. And he just reminded me, my housemate, in that conversation, what Jesus stood for and how many positive things that person known as Jesus has done for me, Alexander, in this life. Whether I was him or I wasn't, there's some mystery of our historical people of the world that have echoed through time. And I see that to this day, I'm not as powerful as Jesus was. And to this day, I can acknowledge that Jesus was the product of many people coming together and teaching and practicing together. And that maybe he couldn't get credit for everything that he did. That being if he reincarnated into me. So I told him, my housemate, that I haven't felt inspired in many years up until now, hearing his words. I haven't felt unconditional love. I haven't decided to let it be a part of who I am. I've been playing this tough guy, I want to be a gangster kind of guy. I want to be a G. I want to be tough. I want to be an OG. I want to be streetwise. I want to be a winner. I want to be successful. I want to be something that other people look up to. But there's nothing that people look up to like a person that's happy and a person that is a good person and puts into practice what they say. You can be a talker or you can be a walker, right? So I want to walk the talk. I want to both be that cool thing that I know that I am and do the good and right thing, which is overall the cool thing. It's cool to be good. Maybe I think I'll name this video that. It's cool to be good, or cool to be a good person. I want to bring that back. Maybe I'll set a goal for myself and strive to put a message out to the world that it's cool to be good, because I even talked about rap in another couple videos back. But there's so many influences in the world right now that are violent, that are selfish, that are ignorant, that are dark, and they're not perpetuating a mentality or a focus of being a good person. And some of it is just artistic, that music I brought up, and it's good music. It doesn't hurt people. And some of it like any genre of music, is just a bad message and makes people feel foul and makes them look up to something that is not ultimately going to help them to be the most expressed version of themselves in this world, which I believe brings fulfillment. So I'm going to bring back this message. I've never heard it said like that, but I'm going to bring back this message that it's cool to be a good person. So now I'm going to check myself right now, because I just put a lot out there in a short couple seconds. I just said everything off the top of my mind. Let me catch up with my own mind and where I'm going with this. I've done a lot of bad things in my life. I am, like many Christians would say, a sinner. Like many Jews might say, a sinner. Like many Muslims, a sinner. I'm a person that's missed their mark. I'm a person that's not right with God. And I'm striving to be right with God again. I mentioned in my last video that I've studied some dark occult practices, sort of demonology sort of things. And that was after devoting many years to giving my life to light and love. I was still curious. My thirst wasn't quenched. But in that time that I was studying darkness, I beat a couple people up. I got beat up. I attacked a person. I ran from police. I got in trouble with the law. I ended up in jail. I've been through mental hospitals. I've yelled at my family and put them down. And there's nothing that justifies that. Other than I was lost, I was ignorant. I didn't know. I don't even know about knowing better. I just did not know. There was no knowledge in this empty space. I was not making an effort to be happy. Forget good for a second. I forgot what makes me happy, and I went on a journey, basically, to remember, or other than remember, it's not to remember. I went on a journey to see if something new would make me happy. And nothing new made me happy. I left all the music in the past. I left all my artistic expression in the past. I left my friendships in the past, my friendship with my family, the closeness that we have. My sister was one of my best friends. And I couldn't find anything that was as gratifying as what I had before. So it could be looked at as either wasted time, or it can be looked at as something that had to happen. And that's basically where I'm at right now, looking at it in hindsight. It had to happen. I had to fall to get back up. And I feel a lot of remorse for hurting people. I feel traumatized after being hurt. And the only thing I have left is to strive to be a good person again, because that brings me joy. I went for a walk yesterday. I went for a walk today. And just waving at people on the street, or nodding to people, or getting a smile in return, or saying good afternoon to somebody, some old lady or something like that. There's nothing like human connection. And I have to get used to being a participant of the cosmic earth again. Put it in like astrological terms, cosmic earth. Here on this planet Earth that we're all sharing, there's nothing like human connection. I know that many of the OGs were good people. You know, I'll speak a little bit more about how I was influenced growing up by Tupac. A couple years after discovering Tupac for myself, I was listening to Ice Cube the past couple years. I was listening to Snoop Dogg. I was listening to a lot of hard rock and metal. I was listening to folk and the Beatles. You know, all the sinners have a future, all the saints have a past, right? So the Beatles, Paul McCartney, you know, the dude's been in a fist fight, you know it. Ice Cube is cried with compassion for somebody around him and give a nurturing hug. You know what I mean? There's softness and hardness. There's hardness and softness. It goes both ways. Tupac was a very caring person, and he was a thug at the same time. So where I'm getting at is the influence of the OGs. That's what I brought up. Let me continue down that path. I was influenced by Tupac the most. And I saw something caring inside of him. I saw the positivity in his songs. And I didn't realize that unconsciously the negativity would permeate into me. And he must have been fighting a strong battle between darkness and light, between doing the right thing and between being selfish. But I wanted to touch base on the expression, the message of the video again, which is it's cool to be a good person. I'm thinking to myself, these people had to go through their journeys too. Ice Cube carrying an AK in a life that may have just been unfair for him, that was given to him, and he had to fight to survive. And he's strong and powerful because of that, and he's influenced millions of people. And I saw him in an interview once, and I just saw his heart. I saw straight through to his heart, his big heart. And you can see that some of these grown men that have been through hell and they make it to the other side, they are the privileged ones in their neighborhoods that made it. They have the sweetest of hearts. And some people don't make it. And where I was alluding to was that some people that aren't known with that title OG or gangster or G, the peaceful of the people have known the roughness of life too. That's why I said Paul McCartney, and it's just something I kind of pulled out of my bottom. You know, the dude's been in a fist fight or two. The only thing I could think to myself is every person that's made it to the top has understood eventually that it's a dog-eat-dog world. And these people are resilient, and they've built up their boundaries and their barriers and their defense, so they know how to fight when the fight comes to them. We can look from all areas of influence in this world, but these people are good people. It's not just ignorance in following a rapper or a hard rock band or an actor or a writer or an athlete, somebody you look up to. It's not just blind following. There's the capacity and the ability to think for yourself and to remember that they are themselves and that you can't overextend your expansion to believe that you are them or that they are you. You have to remember that your life is your own personal journey. And at some point in the 20s and the 30s, I think, everybody realizes that they're alone. And there's these really low waves that we have to ride through and get through to see that we are our unique spiritual being here on this planet. And what I did in the past was I overextended myself to the point where I was imitating the people that I looked up to. And I was doing the things that I thought they would do. What would a gangster do in this situation? Maybe I should just smack that person in the head right now. And I mean, the shit that I'm saying right now is absolute garbage. It's absolutely unacceptable. It's ungraceful. It's undignifying. It makes me look bad, but it's the truth. LA will do that to you. I grew up in LA. So what I'm really getting at is only that I had to go through a state of imitation to see that I was not being myself, but imitating somebody else in order to see my own true colors. It just happens to be that what I was imitating was a gangster. that what I wanted to be was a gangster, that what I looked up to was a gangster, because I grew up in Pomona, because I grew up in a ghetto place, because I grew up in California, because I grew up on the West Coast, the West Side, because I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s. And that was the end of a cultural movement that was happening here in America. And it was artistic, and it was social, and there are so many powerful people that were coming out of the seams in that time. But that is just my own personal journey of finding myself in the thick of so many other people that are emulating and replicating and being creative by being inspired by these people. I looked up to them too, but I felt so much distance from me and being like that I had to just go straight to it and just think, what would Tupac do? Tupac would, and the fact of the matter is I was completely wrong, because if Tupac was there, he would tell me he wouldn't have done that, or he would have thought it through differently, or he would have told me something wise, something that rests within him that is wise like the God and divinity inside of all people. I wouldn't have done that. He would have said, you got to be unique in your own way. You got to be yourself. He was that shining light, and that's what I appreciated. But all of his mistakes, I tried to replicate because I wanted to be the wholeness that was Tupac. That's my personal journey. I know I'm kind of going off on a couple tangents. This whole video feels like a lot of tangents, but I really appreciated where Tupac came from with his words and what he had to say. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm embarrassing myself by saying I attacked a couple people, but I was on one, and I was experiencing psychosis, and, I was just too faded. I couldn't think. I was messed up, and I was a confused spiritual person. This guy right here was one confused mofo, excuse the language. Excuse me for a second. I'm just going to blow my nose. So back to the theme, the motif. Being a good person is cool. All right, how can I work on this? I got to work on some motifs for the future. If I'm claiming I'm a prophet and I'm stepping into these shoes that are really big shoes, man, and I'm saying things like I was Jesus. Excuse me. And I'm talking openly about my girlfriend and my family relationships, my familial relationships, and being through treatment of mental health recovery. I gotta pull out some special cards to get a good hand. I gotta pull out my best tools. I gotta utilize my words, my thoughts, my ideas, these concepts, everything that comes to me. And I got to bring the best foot forward. I got to just be positive. I need to focus on love. I need to run with the inspiration. I get shy. I get timid. I get nervous. I get embarrassed. I just got to trump through it. So, video is almost at 20 minutes. I feel like basically no progress has happened in this video. But, maybe parallel concept, metaphorically speaking. There's that aspect of goodness that is inside of a dark person. Even in a good person, they find darkness in that dog-eat-dog world. I can say that the light inside this video, even if I only get one thing out of the entire thing, is what came to me, that it is cool to be a good person. So I guess I'll end this video. I'll make another video tomorrow. I felt bad. I skipped a day without making a video, so I felt like I just had to pull out my phone tonight. Even though I wasn't feeling inspired at all, I just talked about anything that would come to me. This is usually what I do. But all the best to you. God bless you. Baruch Hashem. Amen. That means bless the name in Hebrew. And thank you for listening. I really appreciate you. And you are loved. Remember that. There's one person in this world that loves you. Even if you feel unloved, I love you. And even though that's not enough, I'm reminding you that one person loves you. And that one person will bring more light to you until the next delivery gets there. Just hang in there if you're having a hard time, okay?